This is another copycat video in the style of Big Clive. Sort of. I'd seen he had found some of these uh, sanitization wands, and usually the ones with LEDs in them are fake. Something to do with the semiconductor junction in the LEDs is not capable of producing the ultraviolet band C, and so because of that, you really need that C band of ultraviolet for it to be sterilizing. So, pardon my squeaky chair. So, yes, I'd found this in a store, a local grocery store, and I expected it to be the LED style, and it turns out it looks like it does have a quartz tube in there. So I thought, hey, may as well post it since it's not a wand. It's not from eBay, you know. So this cost me around $20. I don't remember exactly, but it seemed fairly expensive for an impulse buy of something I'm just going to take apart. But that's all good. But yeah, this is all of their claims of grandeur, I guess. Let me see here. And I like that they say wave it over items that you want to clean. And let me see here. Make sure the light is only 1 to 2 inches from items or surfaces. It only takes 30 seconds for your items to be sterilized. Ooh, how exciting. Although 1 to 2 inches is fairly close, so I don't know how much coverage you're really going to get with this thing. So it has warnings. Don't stare directly at the tube. No, I like this claim. Kills 97% of germs in 20 seconds. So that might be if you're just in a hurry and you can't wait another 10 seconds. It comes with a little instruction booklet. And they really covered every basis. It doesn't come with batteries in it. But battery disposal and essentially it's saying don't throw it in the garbage because it could contact metal items and catch on fire and damage things. But it's and it takes 2 AAA batteries. Yeah, not a terrible lot of terrible things. And it's always fun seeing a limited lifetime warranty. So they've limited in what ways they're going to warrant their product. Which, I mean, fair enough, most everything is. But then, they always say lifetime warranty, and that's, usually what that translates into legally is the lifetime of the product. So if they adjust the model number of this ever so slightly and they're reproducing a slightly different version and they discontinue this one specifically, it doesn't matter if it's almost identical in every way, shape, and form. The warranty is up on all of the old ones, so that's always fun. Let me see. And yeah, it says do not stare directly at the UV lights for an extended period of time. Now there's a misconception that ultraviolets will cause blindness. I'm not a welder by trade yet, but I just graduated school recently, and that's a common misconception, is that UV would cause blindness. It does cause very severe eye irritation, and the experience, if this had been dangerous, the few times that I'd been around the light, because I tried a little stress test and running it for a long period of time, particularly because I could see down inside, which it would never show up on camera, but just infinitely tiny little specks of mercury in the lamp. And I wondered if it was lit for a while, maybe those would vaporize and distribute throughout the tube, and they didn't. So it may just be part of cheap manufacturing, and they got some dirt or something on the inside of the glass. But anyway, I banana for scale, because that's so darn accurate. But I did try the Big Clive unscientific test, and it's disclaimer: this is very unscientific. Uh, Literally, I mean, this is all I have. I don't have any test equipment to find out if it's actually UVC. And I believe, like, well, I should try this with the black lights. I don't believe black lights will do this, but I left it across with a piece of tape over the button, because you have to hold this depressed to light it, and it did indeed put sort of a little a dark mark on there. So if you have nothing else, this will at least give you some idea if there's UVC. But this is by no means a test for safety of any kind. I mean, you could wind up with the whole banana looking pristine after running a test. And this is about an hour, maybe an hour and a half exposure time. And but yeah, I mean, you could wind up with a positive result where it's just, or negative result, I guess, where this is just pristine looking, and you think you're safe, and then there's UVC exposure still, and you know, potentially hurt your eyes some. Back to that thing. So the experience of being exposed to huge amounts of ultraviolet, and in particular in the welding trade, there's enormous amounts of ultraviolet light that's released during the welding process. And there's the experience that you can have that ultraviolet light reflect off of a wall nearby you and have it reflect off the inside of your protective helmet and still expose your eyes, and you don't realize it. And so I've had a few times where I go home at the end of the day and there's, like, my eyes feel sort of dry and irritated, and that progressively gets worse towards the evening. And it feels like somebody has thrown sand in your eyes. And like you rub your eyes, and I've had like wet towels that I'm wiping my eyes down with for relief, and nothing gets that feeling out. And it goes away in about a day, maybe 2 days. But it doesn't actually cause blindness or any permanent damage, because the cornea and parts of your eye will regenerate. The really harmful part of looking at a welding arc or things of that nature, or actually just sitting at a campfire and staring into the flames because they look just so psychedelic and cool, the infrared is actually what is going to cause permanent eye damage over time. So yeah, just watch out for yourself out there. A lot of people would figure, like, oh, it's not ultraviolet, so this is perfectly fine to stare at. Well, if it's infrared, yeah, you're gonna hurt yourself. So take care of yourself. So anyway, I actually already had this apart briefly. Takes two AAA batteries, and I noticed initially there are no screws, and there are no little places where like a screw would hide behind. I thought, well, is it ultrasonically welded together? Is it, what's going on there? Well, I figured out if I squeeze, it sort of cracks open, and you can just sort of pry it apart. And it's not even clipped together or secured properly, really, or anything. It's, well, you'll see once I get this open, but it's literally just the friction of these little pegs going into sockets. So that's all that's holding it together. That being said, it does hold together very nicely. And I noticed for ease of assembly, they have, each half has these two little protruding bits, and you can see there it's misaligned. It's more or less just so that it has to be aligned for this to go together. Otherwise, they'll stop it. So that's an excellent means of you know, perhaps these are hand assembled, but just getting it assembled quickly and not missing. So, now that being said, you know, it's plastic and whatnot. It does feel very solid. I mean, it's nothing feels loose or clickety clackety or anything. So it is securing quite well in here. So if this was able to apply a brown spot to the banana, then this must be quartz glass to pass the UVC spectrum. Now, is there a screw in here? This is heat staked in. So there we go, just pull on that and that comes free. And it's literally just a little transformer, and well, I wouldn't be doing a big Clive style thing unless I brought out a magnifying glass. So let's take a look at what's on the board. I was expecting a little driver chip of some kind. And this is just oops, and drop my magnifying glass. Oh. This is just passive components, it looks like. So that's sort of surprising. And really you can't see much, and neither can I. So let's try the other. Yeah, that works. And it's horribly out of focus. There we go. So it's just come on, refocus. There we go. So it looks like a couple of surface resistors, a diode, and some absolutely tiny, there's a capacitor. So that's sort of interesting. And I'm just sort of an electronics hobbyist, so I can't really make any claim to being particularly good at this. That's a little better, just so I can see. Oof. And I'm gonna cheat and use magnifying lens on this, just because, sorry for those of you that are a bit queasy, just because I can't see either, and I'm shooting this, oops, I'm shooting this on my phone, so there we go. Are there any markings on those? There's some sort of marking on the diodes, I think, but oh, there's just not the right arrangement of things to see it. Oh, there, I think I see something. There's a letter Y and something else. Y1 perhaps? Well, I'm not really sure what those are. It's very simple. So, and I've heard that it's generally a bad thing to run DC through a fluorescing tube, because eventually the atoms of metal that are in the electrode will migrate across and collect on the other side, and that's why you see a dark spot on the end sometimes of fluorescent camping lights, is that they're shooting high voltage DC through it. So AC would be nice, but I have no idea what this circuit is doing. It looks like they have capacitor, and this is a little bit crusty, so oh, this is the wrong Wrong tool for that. Let's try this. It's a little bit crusty from when they installed the pieces, but I believe this is a diode and there's a capacitor. So yeah, that's interesting, but I think we've reached the end of the limitations of my knowledge as far as these things. It looks like, since those tracks are coming directly off of the transformer output, it looks like maybe they are feeding it with DC, and the arrangement of these transistors, it looks like it's probably taking DC and flip-flopping the DC back and forth. One of these switches on, the field builds up, and then that switches the other one on and switches this one off. And so while the magnetic field that's built up from windings of wire collapses, this is adding more energy to it when it's spinning the opposite direction, which builds up a field and collapses. And every time that collapses, the secondary windings will see an enormous surge in current. And so all you need is more windings on the output than you have on the input, and yeah, you can oscillate it with DC. But and there's 5 pins on this side and only 2 on the output. So what's going on here? I wonder if there's sense windings. I don't want to destroy this and open it to find out, but I almost wonder if there's like a sense winding for each of these transistors, which is that would be 2 of these pins then. So maybe 1 or 2 wrappings of wire, just enough that it actually kicks it into switching. Otherwise, it might just stall out and not actually oscillate when you hit the button. But yeah, there it is. An actual sanitizing wand. If only I had petri dishes and actual, viruses and bacteria and a really awesome microscope, then I could actually see it kill things and see how well it works. But let's see if this shocks me while I'm holding it. Not too bad. I did try the other thing, where like holding this against my skin or my finger for a little while and then smelling it. Allegedly, the brighter lights are going to produce a smell similar to like burning pork or something, which is unfortunately actually the smell of flesh burning. I wonder if you could see, there we go, there are little, pardon my shaky hands here, there are these little speckles on the inside of the glass, and my first thought was that must be mercury, because usually there's a little blob of mercury in lamps like this to make it more conductive and increase the likelihood that you can get an arc to strike across. But I'm thinking if that is the case, then this probably is just an off-the-shelf component lamp, which means theoretically I could overdrive this and make it do something crazy. But again, I don't want to destroy this. I would like to investigate the potential of using this for circuit board manufacturing, and knowing about that is something I also owe to Mr. Big Clive. And so for circuit board etching, instead of having to do all this difficult stuff, you can apply a transparency over this circuit board material, and the coating on the surface of the copper cladding will be changed by UV light so that it can be etched away and then or dissolved away, and then you can apply etchant and get the solder traces you want. But anyway, that's pretty much it, or as Mr. Clive would say, that's fundamentally it. And I really appreciate his videos. I always learn something, and he just drops little bits of information that are immensely helpful. So I would recommend check out his channel. And because I'm a lazy person, I'm not going to include any links or anything. Just look up Big Clive. Actually, if you look up bigclive.com, he has a pretty fantastic website, and I guess he's added a lot more designs and neat things to it. So I may have to go check that out again myself. But good learning resources. He has plans and designs for a lot of circuits he's designed and built, and so if you'd like to duplicate any of them, that's good. This is one feature I forgot to mention. There's this little keyed socket right here that fits a slot on the end of the power button, so that it's always facing the correct way around. So that's kind of a neat little feature. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And enjoy. Let me know if you would like to see more videos of this kind, or do they absolutely suck? Is there, I'm to a certain extent, who cares? I'm not going to be a people pleaser, but I'm not going to be, overwhelmingly a people pleaser, but I would like to produce things people want to see. I don't want to just take up memory space on the interwebs with more junk, because goodness knows we have more than enough of that to go around. So let's see if I can get this together. And this is very tedious because I've broken all of the heat staking free, so everything is just sort of barely holding together. And I need to tuck that in. There we go. Did it work? So far so good. Hey, that actually worked. How about that? I suppose this is a little bit clicky, the battery door. That's not too bad. But hey, it's still there. Sorry about the queasy people out there. It still works. So, not a lot of large items you could really sterilize with it, but it's kind of a neat little light. So, anyway, thank you, and have fun out there.